Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 8-game NBA main slate on Monday. Before I get into the video, because you're new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. I'm now making videos for NBA Top Shot as well. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. I have a link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on Patreon.com, an esports package, which includes Call of Duty and CSGO, as well as an NBA package. And then finally, I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring this show. If this is your first time watching these videos and you are unfamiliar with Prize Picks, the idea is you are taking over/under on fantasy points. So they even have fourth quarter stuff. So like, Hardaway stretch for 6 fantasy points in the fourth quarter. I actually think there's an edge for these because this Dallas game is gonna blow out. So like a lot of the starters probably don't play the fourth. So like you could definitely like take the under there, right, in Hardaway. So. And again, they also have just regular for the full game. And they have 8 players posted already. They'll have a lot more throughout the day. They also have college basketball, March Madness, if you guys are into that. So if you guys want to sign up, you just go DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Link down below. You get a 100% match up to $100. So if you put $100 in, you get $200 to play with, a free $100. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we talk about players and the prices for this 8-game slate, we can look back lineup here from Sunday. So Sunday, this is my final lineup here with Russell Westbrook, Alex Caruso, Talon Horton-Tucker, Markieff Morris, Isaiah Stewart, James Harden, Kyle Kuzma, and DeAndre Ayton. Here I can get out of the way so you guys can see. But yeah, basically the studs I was considering, and talked about this in the video, talked about this in the Patreon live stream, was just strictly Washington, Brooklyn guys, and Luka, and that was it. And the mid-range guys I was considering, were the Lakers guys, then a guy like DeAndre Ayton. So. Westbrook 70 fantasy points, only 27% owned. That surprised me a bit. So he was great. Caruso, Talon Horton-Tucker, Markieff Morris, all guys that just salary relief plays because no LeBron, no Anthony Davis. Isaiah Stewart had a pretty solid day again because his role is pretty defined, playing 20 to 25 minutes off the bench. James Harden was a little bit disappointing. I won't lie. Like I expected more than 52 fantasy points. He was 80% owned. Should have been. Just had a kind of floor game and a great matchup there. Kyle Kuzma, only 8% owned. And then DeAndre Ayton. This is why I love DFS. Recency bias. Back-to-back games where he got in foul trouble. I don't know if you guys remember this. Two slates ago, DeAndre Ayton was more expensive. I think he was like mid 6K range, like 6.5-ish against Minnesota. He was like 50% owned then. Well, yeah, foul trouble. People look at those box scores and avoid them. Recency bias. He was matched up against Markieff Morris, Montrezl Harrell. So as long as this game stays close, Ayton should probably push for 40-plus fantasy points and get 1% owned. So that's it for the look back, guys. Hope you had a good night, and let's see if we can keep it rolling here for this 8-game slate. All right, so we have 2 of the 8 games out right now. Kings and Cavs, a 225 over under. The Kings are 4-point favorites, and Hawks and Clippers, a 223.5 over under. The Clippers are 6.5-point favorites. We'll start off with Sacramento and Cleveland. On the Sacramento side, it's really the main 3 guys I've been talking about: Fox, Holmes, Halliburton. I say on this slate, none of those guys are priorities. All more contrarian plays. Fox again should play mid-30s minutes, the number 1 on offense. Rashawn Holmes had a really bad game last game. Basically, everyone did for the Kings, but we know he's got upside. Right? He's 1 for 50+ in 2 of the last 4 games. Again, an aggressive player in the offensive end. And then Tyrese Halliburton, just because of the price point, he should play about 30 minutes. It's been a little bit disappointing since returning from injury, but again, in play because of the price. Let's move on to Cleveland. On the Cavs side, normally a team I've been avoiding, but this is a really, really good matchup. So I think there's a couple guys that are viable here. Jarrett Allen at 7.6 should play, low to mid-30s minutes, a double-double machine. The matchup's great here. So I actually do have some interest in here in Jarrett Allen. Would have wished he was a little bit cheaper. Sexton is a guy, I honestly don't think I've ever played Colin Sexton. Considering it here, though, I am, because matchup versus the Kings, he's doing a little bit better job of, peripheral stats. And, minutes, right? Playing close to 40 minutes. So, Colin Sexton is in play. He's also shooting guard eligible. I'm fine with Darius Garland, too, at 6'6", also playing big minutes. Gone for 40-plus fantasy points in 2 of the last 4 games. Larry Nance at 6-1 should play over 30 minutes. I think it's a fair play at his price. And then if you want to get very risky, you can always consider a guy, JaVale McGee, right? Should get around 15 minutes and is a good point per minute guy. All right, let's move on to OKC in Minnesota. Really what we're waiting for is SGA. If SGA is in, kind of like him to contrarian play as long as there's no minutes limit. If SGA is out, then we could look to maybe a guy like Maladon at 5K. The issue is, though, they priced up a lot of these OKC guys. Like Ty Jerome, Kenneth Williams got priced up off the bench. Poisheski's almost at 5K. I'm not getting to Moses Brown, assuming he comes off the bench at 5-1. Like, I don't love the price in Lou Dort. So it's like, yeah, no one like really stands out in the Thunder for me. Again, keep an eye on SGA, though. Let's move on to Minnesota. On the Minnesota side, it's Cat, it's Edwards. Cat at 9.5K, I think it does go a little bit overlooked, but should play mid-30s minutes. And again, the offense is just basically him and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards shot the ball 4 of 18 last game and still went for 36 fantasy points. He is just playing all the minutes he can handle, and he's, again, shooting the ball a ton. I do like Anthony Edwards just because, again, minutes alone, minutes plus shot attempts, plus, again, he did stuff the stat sheet a little bit more the last game. Yeah, I'm fine with Anthony Edwards. And even Ricky Rubio, I think, is all right. Would rather get to Edwards. But Rubio's gone for 40-plus in 2 of the last 3 games. Finally starting to get back to, like, old Ricky Rubio, a guy that, can stuff the stat sheet. He's gone for 10 assists, 12 assists. I will say he is not a priority, but viable here at that pricing and should play around 30-ish minutes. The rest of the bench guys is just, no, I'm just not doing it. Let's move on to Charlotte. So the big news, LaMelo Ball, unfortunately, going to be out for the season, most likely with the fractured wrist, I believe. Fractured bone in the wrist, yes. That's truly unfortunate. But as far as DFS-wise goes, Devontae Graham, assuming he starts, I think is one of the better value plays of the slate. If he does start, I think we get around 30 minutes from him. And the 4.8K price would just be too cheap. So would like Devontae Graham a lot. And then guys like Rozier, guys like Gordon Hayward get a massive boost without LaMelo Ball. Gordon Hayward's a guy I've just been overlooking for the past, month and a half. With LaMelo Ball out, now I think Gordon Hayward's actually a pretty decent play in the mid-range. Again, Rozier going to have to do a lot more offensively. I think he's viable. Malik Monk probably plays a little bit more off the bench if you want to get a little bit contrarian. And then finally, Cody Zeller is continuing, is out again. So Bismack Biyombo started the last game, played mid-20s minutes. We know he's not a great point per minute guy, but assuming he starts again is viable for salary relief. Let's move on to the San Antonio Spurs. DeMar DeRozan at the top. I don't think he's going to be super popular in the slate, but he's playing big minutes. 35-plus last 3 games. A guy can stuff his stat sheet, 11, 7, 13 assists the last 3 games is really, really good to see. Again, he's having the ball in his hands a lot more. So I'm perfectly fine getting up there to DeMar DeRozan. I think he's the safest Spur. Dejounte Murray, we know, is a little bit more up and down, but viable for GPPs. Jakob Poeltl probably plays around 30 minutes. He's flashed some upside, but a guy that has been in foul trouble recently. Keldon Johnson, what? Are we getting good Keldon Johnson now? Like, he went on a stretch of just games of just doing absolutely nothing. Now, back-to-back games, 58 and 34 fantasy points. I just don't know what to make this Spurs team. I never can get a read on these guys like Keldon Johnson, Derek White, Lonnie Walker. Like, how about this? Lonnie Walker, DNP 2 games ago, and then goes for 46 fantasy points. It's just like, I just put my hands up in the air for these secondary Spurs. I never know what to do. So, yes, there's some guys that are playable, right? Murray for GBPs, Keldon Johnson for GBPs, Derek White. If you played in the last slate, he was a really good play. You got insanely unlucky. 3 of 14 he shot. Again, Lonnie Walker just had a big game. Like, these guys are playable. They're just so up and down that it's really hard for me to trust any of them. Moving on to Toronto. So, Lowry, Van Fleet at 8-1 and 7-6 respectively. I think are both decent plays. Neither are priorities, though, for me. Pascal Siakam, I'll mention, how about this? 25 minutes? Just out of nowhere? No foul trouble? I was looking at that. I was like, I know a couple people played Siakam tonight. I was like, 25 minutes? What are we doing here? What is that? OG Anunoby at 5'6", should play around 30 minutes. I think he's a fair play at the price, but that's really it for Toronto. Moving on to Houston. Keep an eye on Houston. So first off, I want to tilt a little bit, all right? Christian Wood, John Wall in the early slate today, I avoided them because, well, we'll remain on a minutes limit for Sunday. 36 minutes for Christian Wood on a minutes limit. John Wall, minutes restriction, Sunday's game. 35 minutes. Okay, so back to my point. Wall, Oladipo have been resting a lot in back-to-backs. Also, Christian Wood has been banged up for a lot. He might rest in a back-to-back. Keep an eye on the Houston Rockets, right? I think one or even a couple of these guys could rest. If, one or two of these guards rest of Oladipo, John Wall, then we're going to Kevin Porter Jr. assuming he starts. So, yeah, Houston is kind of a wait and see right now. Possibly some value, like maybe guys like Daniel House, maybe Sterling Brown, right, if some of these guys are out. So, maybe a guy like KJ Martin if there's no Christian Wood. Keep an eye on Houston and see what they do with Wood, Oladipo, and John Wall. So it's a little bit hard to say right now. On the Indiana, moving on to the Pacers and Bucks. On the Pacers side, Domantas Sabonis does seem a little bit underpriced here at $9K. Again, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, I think is a safer option. Malcolm Brogdon, a revenge game narrative here. He should have played mid-30s minutes. A guy that, again, I think is a safer option. Not a ton else I like on the Pacers side. Moving on to the Bucks. So this is a team you're going to want some exposure to tomorrow. Giannis Antetokounmpo, doubtful. Huge. So, the equation last year, or the last 3 years when Giannis was out, was Giannis Antetokounmpo out. You play Middleton, you play Bledsoe, and you play Ersan. Well, Bledsoe no longer on the team. Ersan no longer on the team. So let's start off with Middleton. I think he's one of the better plays of the slate. Gets a massive boost without Giannis. I do like him. I really like Drew Holiday. Again, basically, the Eric Bledsoe now of this team. But in my opinion, a lot better player. Should play mid-30s minutes. Again, just gets a massive boost without Giannis. Really like both Drew and Middleton. Dante DiVincenzo, I don't know what's gotten into him, but he has been amazing recently. He is a guy that's stuffing the stat sheet. I mean, look at these stat lines. 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 13 rebounds, 3. Like, what is going on here? What on earth is going on here with Dante DiVincenzo? I don't know, but I think he is also in play. I feel a little bit more comfortable with Drew and Middleton, more established players, but hey, I can't lie. DiVincenzo has been amazing. Brook Lopez, no thank you at that price. Last guy I mentioned here is Bobby Portis. Assuming Bobby Portis has started, I think Giannis has missed 1 or 2 games this year, and Bobby Portis has started. Assuming Bobby Portis starts here, he is one of the best value plays of the slate, just because, again, a great point per minute guy, and if he's in the starting lineup, he's going to play at least 20 minutes, probably 25 plus. So love Bobby Portis, assuming he starts for Giannis Antetokounmpo. All right, Boston and Memphis. So big news, no Kemba Walker. I think Marcus Smart, assuming he starts at the point guard position, I actually think is a pretty safe play because he gets a massive boost playing the point. Should play, mid-30s minutes. I do like Marcus Smart there in the mid-range. Tatum and Brown at the top. Jaylen Brown has been just on fire. 50, 47, 45, and 50 fantasy points the last 4 games. If you want to continue to ride that hot streak, I completely get it. As far as the bigs go, Tristan Thompson questionable. If he's out, then Daniel Tice is the guy for me. Has played over 30 minutes the last game. I'm expecting around mid-20s to low 30s in minutes. So Tice would be a decent value play if there's no Tristan Thompson. Robert Williams at 6K, that's just a little bit too pricey for me. All right, let's move on to Memphis. And I'll make this pretty simple. There's really not much here. Jonas Valanciunas for tournaments because he's a good point per minute guy. If you want to get very contrarian, you can use Ja. Again, he shot 5 of 20 for me the last game, but he did play 35 minutes. The rest is just, there's too many guys, and it's just, they're running too deep of rotation. If I had to pick one value guy, it would be Grayson Allen, who has played 25, 24, and 32 minutes the last 3 games. So yeah, if I had to pick a value, it would be Grayson Allen. All right, final 2 games are Utah and Chicago. On the Utah side, not much here. It is a good matchup, but there's not a ton that stands out. I mean, Gobert is questionable, but leaning more towards probable. If Gobert misses, then obviously it favors assuming he starts as the best value, but I do think Gobert plays. Conley's a decent play in the mid-range. Mitchell's been playing really well if you want to spend up there, but again, not a priority. And there's not much else on the Chicago side. Levine is a contrarian option. I think Satoransky for value is probably my favorite play on the Bulls side, assuming he starts. Playing around 30 minutes, so yeah, Sato would be my favorite play in the Bulls. Let's finish up with the Hawks and the Clippers. So on the Atlanta Hawks side, Trae Young for tournaments, I do kind of like, price below 9K. I know he's been a little bit up and down, but the upside is there. With Collins versus Capella, it's close. Collins had a massive game last game, and he's starting to pick it up. But Capella was in some foul trouble and only played 23 minutes. So I think both bigs are viable, but more tournament plays. Gallinari, not really for me at that price. DeAndre Hunter might be back too. If DeAndre Hunter's in, Gallinari's out of play. If DeAndre Hunter's out again, I think we could consider a guy like Bogdan Bogdanovic, who's played 29 and 30 minutes the last couple games. So Bogdan, if there's no Hunter, I think is an interesting value play. Finally, the Clippers side. I do like Kawhi and Paul George at the top. Assuming this game stays close, both should play massive minutes. And we already know Ibaka's out. They're running basically like an 8-man rotation here. 8-man rotation, really. So Kawhi, Paul George, both look pretty good at the top at below 9K. Paul George at 8.2. Ivica Zubac should start the center position, should play over 30 minutes. I like him in the mid-range. I like Marcus Morris in the mid-range. Foul trouble plus blowout led to him only playing 21 minutes, but he should play over 30. So those main 4 guys, I'm fine with Lou Williams for tournaments, and even Nick Batum for value, right? They're just running such a tight rotation at the moment that you're going to want some Clippers exposure. 29, 28 minutes for Batum, right? Should play around that. So those are the guys I'm really interested in for the LA Clippers. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video today, guys. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos live. As always, I will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow before lock to go over everything and answer all your guys' questions, so make sure to check it out, guys. Thanks again, have a great night, and I will see you all tomorrow.